I'm extremely upset. I'm angry. I'm disgusted. Ghislaine Maxwell doesn't deserve any mercy. She doesn't deserve any grace. She deserves nothing. Why would anybody give somebody like her, who is a monster and a liar, a time of day to explain anything? She doesn't know anything, and if she did, she would have already had the opportunity to speak.
I've been speaking to one of the survivors of abuse by Jeffrey Epstein. Haley Robson was sexually assaulted by Epstein in the 2000s when she was just 16 years old. I asked her how she first came into contact with the convicted paedophile financier.
A friend from high school basically recruited me, got my phone number. We talked later on, maybe a week or two later. I picked her up, and then I picked up a 20-year-old male named Tony Figueroa. And the three of us in the car ride, they told me what to expect and basically to lie about my age and that it would just be a massage. And then obviously when I got to his house, that's not what happened. It wasn't just a massage.
And you were just 16 at the time?
Correct.
And what had happened to you before that? Tell me about your childhood and growing up before that moment when you met Jeffrey Epstein.
I had a pretty decent childhood, and then we ended up moving from Miami to West Palm, and it was such like a shock for me. It was such a big move. I started having some, issues in school, and when I was 15, I was raped. That was my first sexual experience with a man. I was raped, and then following that, a year later is when I met Jeffrey. I didn't understand that Jeffrey was abusing me. I didn't understand what was happening to me. Honestly, if I could be quite frank, when I go back and I read depositions, it's really disheartening how much I actually tried to protect this man, because I really truly thought that he was a friend. I really truly thought that he was looking out for me. I mean, we had deep conversations about my rape. We had conversations about my family. We had conversations about my health. I thought we were friends. We had a rapport, and that he was going to help me. And in fact, he wasn't helping me. He was destroying me.
Was there a moment of realisation for you then when you realised that you had been a victim of Jeffrey Epstein?
I had started seeing Randy Cogan, which is my therapist. And I think it wasn't until a couple years after being with her that I remember one session expressing to her, I don't know what it means to be sexually abused. I don't know what the difference is between being molested, sexually assaulted, raped, or abused. Like, what does any of this mean? Rape is very cut dry, but I didn't understand what it meant to be sexually abused or what it meant to be, like, molested at 16, because when you hear the word molested, you usually categorize it with, like, a 4-year-old or somebody who's much younger. So it really hit when I started seeing Randy, and she was explaining things, and we were talking about things that I was able to get a more clear image of what was truly happening and what I had been through.
If it's okay, Haley, just so we can understand, and I really appreciate you being so open and honest about this, what was it that was happening to you when you were with Jeffrey Epstein that you were explaining then to your therapist?
It was the inappropriate touching. It was the forcing me to watch him touch himself. It was forcing me to do things to him so he can get sexual gratification. The scariest part in all of this as an adult is looking back at that 16-year-old girl that was in the room alone with him, realizing this man is going to be sexually gratified whether I like it or not. So either I'm going to have to be a willing participant, or God knows what's going to be the next step. And because I had already come off being raped, which was my first experience, I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared for another one. I wasn't prepared for that.
How do you feel as one of his victims, seeing Ghislaine Maxwell moved to a low security, some might say comfortable, a cushy prison in the US, that she's talking to the justice system, the Trump administration, even speculation she might be pardoned? How does that make you feel?
Obviously not really good. Sorry. I'm extremely upset. I'm angry. I'm disgusted. to be denied your innocence, denied your justice, and then to have your healing taken away from you without any consent, it really feels like a part of me is dying inside. Ghislaine Maxwell doesn't deserve any mercy. She doesn't deserve any grace. She deserves nothing. To be clear, Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for her counts of child exploitation and trafficking. Why would anybody give somebody like her, who is a monster and a liar, a time of day to explain anything? She doesn't know anything, and if she did, she would have already had the opportunity to speak. That opportunity has passed. The fact that there is all this talk about her wanting to come forward, no, absolutely not, is a slap in the face to all of us.
What would you like to see happen now? Is there something that you would like to see made public? Or would you like this to go back in the box, stop talking about it, stop waking over it, leave Ghislaine Maxwell in jail, and then you can go back to the life that you said that you were rebuilding, and bluntly, you can stop having these sorts of conversations with people like me?
100%. I mean, I would really, for once, like to stop talking about a non-existent list. I would like to start talking about the women that have sacrificed and poured their blood, sweat, and tears to get the little bit of justice. I would like the conversations to stop revolving around a billionaire pedophile, not a billionaire financier. Let's call him what he is. And I would like to stop having those conversations. I would like everyone to stop glorifying this monster and giving him the time of day. All you're doing is sensationalizing him, and it doesn't need to happen anymore. We got our justice, the little piece that we have. I don't care who killed Jeffrey. I don't care how he died. He's dead, which means he can never hurt another girl again. We need to put an end to this conversation, and we need to allow the survivors to move on and finally live a life out in peace, what's left of our life.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.